Hello friends, today we are going to talk about moat, wide economic moat. Now you must have heard a word moat, but you may not be knowing the meaning of that. Now this wide economic moat basically is used a lot in the stock market to understand what is the competitive advantage of a company against its competition. So today in session we are going to talk about how to analyze moat of a company and how you can take a decision based on the moat and what are the different types of moat available which is actually safeguarding a company against its competition. So friends, welcome everyone. My name is Tapan Doshi. Welcome to my YouTube channel and let us start with the session. Talking about wide economic moat, now let us understand what is the meaning of moat. Okay, so here, as you can see here guys, you can see here there is a big castle, correct? Now this castle is nothing but actually no, is consider this as a, you can say, a company. Now before I go forward, no, just wanted to do like this castle, no, is been surrounded by the water here. You can see here, correct? Now this water is nothing but a actually safeguarding castle against any type of invasion from its competitors or enemies or whatever, and that is safeguarding that castle. Similarly is for the company. Suppose this is a company is nothing but a, you can say, for example, TCS company. Now this TCS company is surrounded by this water. Now this water here for the TCS companies like patent, purchasing power, higher customer switching costs, large capital requirement, operational efficiency, brand identity technology are nothing but some of the strength of the company. So when the company is surrounded by this strength, it is able to survive against its competition, and that is the main point, and that is what you have to understand. All these are nothing but the strength of the company. Now when the strength of the company is more than the weakness of the company, then only the price of a company will stay, means at a higher level, or it will not fall down too much whenever market is falling down. Otherwise, if the economic moat is not there, then the competition will literally eat away. So you have to understand whether the company is having a good economic moat or not, because these are the strength of the company. Also you have to understand what is the weakness of the company also, and you have to compare this basically moat along with the peers company, that is nothing but its competitors. What type of competitors are there, what are their economic moat, and know how this company moat is better than the other moat, other companies. What this is very important to understand, because at the long run a company which is having a good moat will only able to survive, and basically stock market will always give an extra premium to a company which is having a higher economic moat, which is having higher strength compared to competition and everything. So this thing you have to keep in mind whenever you analyze a company in detail. Now talking about this, let us understand how you can analyze deeply. Now for this, no, if you know Michael Porter's 5 force analysis to be used. Now Michael Porter's is nothing but no, the economist who has created this, and he told that basically there are 5 types of forces through which the economy, basically the strength of the company is being determined. Okay, and that is what we have to understand here. Now this is what is the 5 economic forces. Now you can see here, these are the forces like threat to the of new entrants, of course rivalry among the existing competitors, then bargaining power of buyers, threat to the substitute products, and bargaining power of supplies. Now these are the 5 forces which you have to analyze deeply and understand what is the meaning of that. Now let us take one by one. Now first we'll take about rivalry among the existing competitors. Now the company must or maybe having lot of competition, correct? So you have to understand when you are before buying a company. So suppose someone comes and tell you that please buy ITC. Now before buying ITC you have to understand about the competition. You have to basically compare with the competition also to understand whether the strength of the ITC is better or not. Now talking about here rivalry among the existing competitors. So basically here, who are the number of competitors, diversity of the competitors, industry concentration, whether it is a few companies only or there are lot many companies, industry growth, how the like ITC is having nothing but a FMCG. Okay, so how the FMCG companies grow sector is growing across the board. Again, how is the quality of the products, brand loyalty, whether the company is having that type of brand or not, which is giving an edge to that company against its competition. Again, what are the barriers of exit? Okay, again, switching costs. Like what is switching cost? Basically, no, suppose you are buying some product of ITC, okay, like a soap, and no, there is another product like that Lux, like HUL. Now, where are the now it is switching cost is very less there, correct? So you have to understand how the switching cost, whether the basically customer is able to grow from one product to other product easily, then that is a negative for that company. But when the switching cost is less, it is actually very good. For example, for a TCS company, once they actually put their software in a company, no, it is very, very difficult to switch over to another software of Infosys because no, it takes 1 or 2 years no, to deploy that software in that company across the basically geographics. Again, the employees get used to it and everything. Like that SAP and Oracle, correct? So if you already deploys Oracle, now it is very difficult to go to SAP. And that is what you have to understand. How is the switching cost, competition कैसा है, diversity कैसा है, concentration, all that will help you to understand how is the rivalry among the existing competitors. The second is nothing but a threat of new entrants. Now, talking about threat of new entrants, if you can see here, basically, what are the barrier entries? Okay, barrier to entries, again, economies of scale, brand loyalty, okay, capital requirement. Now, brand loyalty is nothing that once you are actually used to with a particular brand, whether this you are loyal to that brand or not, you are switching over to the other brand very easily. Okay, then capital requirement, what type of capital requirements? Now here, no, for example, let us take an example of telecom. You know that mainly three operators are there. Earlier there were more operators, but because of the high capital intensive industry, most of the operator has gone. Like currently we have only Vodafone, Airtel and Jio. Now this is like no, there are only three players here, so there is lot of barriers to entry. So that's why there is the threat is very less in telecom industry. Again, what is the cumulative experience? What is the government policies? Access to distribution channels, switching costs, all these things you have to understand very, very easy. The more there is a barrier to the entry, no, the more the moat of the companies. Now, for like a telecom, no, there is very less competition in the market because no, it is so capitalism, it is not easy to come into the telecom industry. Okay, so that is the threat of new entrant you have to understand. Okay. Again, bargaining power of the buyers. Now, what do you mean by bargaining power of the buyers? Whether the buyers, whoever buying an end customer and consumer is able to dictate his terms or not. So, if the buyers want, if their demand is like whether the price is getting less or not, all these things you have to keep in mind. So, how many numbers of customer, the size of each customer order, difference between competitors, price sensitivity, buyer's ability to substitute in buyer's information availability and switching cost. See, understand if the supplier are very less, then supplier can control the prices. But if there are a lot of supplies, like for example, stationery, there are so many suppliers in stationery. So as a result, there is lot of competition, and as a result, there is a very less margin in stationery. You can understand sharpener, rubber on the papers and everything. So you have to understand how is the bargaining power of the buyers. Bargaining power of the buyer plays a very, very big role, no? Because if they want, they can reduce the prices of the product and everything. So that is what you have to understand. Then comes the threat of the substitute product. So as I told you earlier, that whether there is substitute like at FMCG, there are already so many substitutes available. So one can easily go to another product. Now that goes negative for the actually supplier, and that is what we have to understand. But if there are very less substitute or the substitute products, you cannot easily switch. Like no capital intensive industry, you cannot, if you have bought one machinery, it is not easy to switch over to another machinery. So that thing you have to keep in mind while understanding the moat of the company. So whether what is the threat of the substitute product, like number of substitute products available, buyer propensity to substitute, relative price performance of substitute, perceived level of product differentiation, and switching cost. So all these things you have to understand that yes, whether the substitute product is available easily. If the substitute product is not easily available, then that is a moat for a company. But if the substitute product is easily available, then it is a on the other side. So all these things you have to keep in mind while deciding. Now, across the sector, there are so many products and everything. Like in banking also, you know that easily you can switch over from one bank to another bank. So many FDs are available. So substitute products are easily available in banking industry also. Then comes the last but fifth point, that is bargaining power of the suppliers. Now, whether the suppliers are able to control the prices or not, like number and size of the suppliers, uniqueness of each supplier product, and focal company's ability to substitute. For example, no, like as I told you earlier, for telecom, only three operators are there. So they can easily control the prices. Even you can talk about highly capital intensive like L&T. There are some specialized products which has been actually produced only by L&T or some heavy industry. Now they are able to control the prices. Now this thing you have to keep in mind. This is very, very important to understand. More they are able to basically focus on this and they are able to create a monopoly type of business. No, then they have a much more bargaining power. So guys, all these points are some of the points you have to keep in mind while deciding. So if someone comes to you that please buy a particular company. For example, you can say that Dabur. Now, what are the benefits of the Dabur? What are the basically moat of the Dabur company? What are the products? How is the competition, substitute products available, and whether it is high capital intensive? How is the marketing of the product, and also the network and everything? Like no, the way the FMCG has a high distribution network, that is a positive thing for any company. Okay, so now that is a moat of a company. So all these things you have to understand one very much. And guys, this plays a very, very big role in deciding whether this product or sorry, whether this company will be sustaining at a long run or not. If the moat of the company is not good, it will not able to sustain. So guys, hope you understood what is the meaning of moat and how you have to understand the moat and what is the Michael Porter's 5 force analysis. So go to the video again if you are not able to understand, but yes, do write down in the comment box what you understand from this video and do let me know what are the other topics you want to understand. I'll shoot it and I'll let you know. Okay. So by then, thank you very much. See you in the next video.